I'll present a question for your perspective, and then a few other people in the room will do the same. And we love your insights, and we'll keep it in conversation format, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. So with that, first of all, I'd like to convey my deepest gratitude to you for joining us here today, for giving us this time. And I just want to say that it's so meaningful to us to be able to learn from you and continue to do so. And thank you for the invaluable opportunity, and a warm welcome, Your Excellency. Thank you. So with that, I'd like to say welcome everyone to the POP Climate Leadership Conversations, a tribute to our chief mentor. This project aims to strengthen youth leadership and explore tactics that empower the youth to take action and tackle the most pressing challenges and issues that we face globally. We are conducting a series of conversations on leadership strategies, recommendations, reflections, and examples, each focused on global leadership and a different pressing environmental issue. This initiative is designed and implemented as a tribute to our chief mentor, late Dr. R.K. Pachauri. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Her Excellency, Dr. Rosalia Arteaga, former president of Ecuador, about climate, conservation, and educational strategies. Thank you very much for joining us, Your Excellency. It's a great pleasure and privilege to have you here. Anna.
Thank you, Ash, for that introduction. Oh, go ahead.
Do I start, or you are going to do
Anna,
some
we'll
other?
continue.
I would like to introduce you, if that's okay, before we go over to you.
Thank you.
So, Her Excellency Arteaga is Ecuadorian and the first woman to have held the positions of Constitutional President and Vice President of the Republic of Ecuador. She was the former Secretary General of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization and was also the Deputy Minister of Culture and Minister of Education, lawyer, Doctor of Jurisprudence, and has a degree in journalism and an MA in anthropology. Currently, Her Excellency Arteaga is a member of the World Academy of Arts and Science, serves as a member of the board of the Library of Alexandria in Egypt, and is also a member of honor of the Royal Academy of Doctors of Europe, CEO of Fidel Foundation, and High Commissioner of the Pan-Amazonian in Manaus, Brazil. She is also a member of the Advisory Board of International Relations at the University of Miami and a member of the Board of Women Political Leaders, WPL. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have 5 questions we would like to ask you, and the first question will be from our senior mentor, Dr. Ash.
Thank you so much, Anna. Your Excellency, thank you once again for being with us here today. And we're very excited about all the insights that I know you will share with us. I wanted to start the conversation, Your Excellency, by asking your perspective of what leadership means and what it means to you in terms of climate and education, please. Thank you.
Perfect. First, I want to thank the POP movement and Ash Pachauri, the chief mentor, for the invitation, and also to congratulate all of you to organize that kind of sessions where we can exchange some ideas, because I think the richness of this is to exchange ideas, to have some topics that we can talk about. I am also grateful that these events are in memory to celebrate Dr. Rajendra Pachauri, a person that I admire a lot, that I really and strongly believe that his leadership in the intergovernmental panel created by United Nations was really a key role, and also the other initiatives that he had during his life. Late Dr. Pachauri was really an example for all of us, for these generations and the incoming generations, the generations that are coming in the future. For sure, they are learned from the the life and the testimony of life of Dr. Pachauri. And I'm really grateful to participate in this event in memory and to honor his achievements, his perspective of life, his lessons all the time. Every time that I had the opportunity to talk with Dr. Pachauri, I learned a lot. I learned a lot because he was a very humble person, and he was also a person of easy talking, to talk about the big issues that concerns him and concerns humanity. I think he was a visionary about all what means concerns about climate change, about the role of people and the impact and the fingerprints of people on the planet, and how we impacted it, and how we can reverse the situation, because it's not a thing or an issue to go to anywhere. No, it's not. We can do things, because if no, as people sometimes says, we can turn off the light and close the door, and it's not the issue. We cannot do that. We have to take action in this always in these kind of situations. About the question, Ash, about the leadership, what means leadership? For me, leadership is taking action and give good examples. That's leadership. Take action and give good examples. Because I don't really believe in the kind of leadership that you give orders to others to do things, do that and that and that, and you don't do anything. You have to be the first to do things. Then you can really encourage the other people to do things. In this case, we are talking about climate change and how we can reverse, as I said, the situations that we are living now. We were talking before the start of this conversation about the situation in different countries. For example, in my country, lots of rain, unusual rain for this season, and how it's affecting especially to poor people because the amount of rain is invading the houses, leaving people without anything, putting in risk lives and crops and everything. Then we must believe that if we are touching the problem, we have to solve the problem, because we are touching the problem in several parts of the world. Then leadership is action and examples.
That's so wonderful and so inspirational. Yes, leading by doing and by example is so critical. And I know that many of the young people who are listening to this will be internalizing this message, and I hope that inspires all of us to take action and to get up ahead in line to lead by doing. And thank you so much, Your Excellency. You're right. We're living through the climate challenges. Most affected are the vulnerable communities, those that are the poorest, and we do all need to get up and do our part. And we need to be ahead, standing in front and leading by example. And I have to say, you're a great inspiration to us in this, because you're always one who's out there. You're speaking, you're sharing, you're doing. And it means a lot to us to have you and the entire Fidal family, in fact, right at the helm of leadership in this field. So thank you so much, Your Excellency, for sharing that very, very insightful comment. Thank you. And with that, I think Ricardo has an area he'd like to discuss with you as well. Thank you. Ricardo, adelante.
Thank you. I have a question. Throughout your career, you have been involved in policies regarding the Amazon rainforest, the conservation of the Amazon rainforest. So I was wondering what kind of leadership is needed to execute conservation policies from a political standpoint, while often going against big companies.
Well, thank you for the question. I was really proud to be the head of that Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization, because it was meaning that we can work on the big forest of the world, the biggest basin of the world. And the thing is that forest and this basin is shared by several countries, 8 countries of Latin America. The biggest part is a Brazilian part. And the other thing is that it's a territory that it's part of the territory of France, French Guiana. Then it was not easy to make agreements between all the parts. And that's one of the big challenges, how we can put in the same table the expectations and the visions of the different countries that have different size, different level of development, and different kind of situations. Then it was a big challenge. We get some agreements between them, like, for example, an agreement about the protection of the water resources. And as you can see, when you see a map of Latin America and the Amazon basin, we have the Andean mountains that are really tall mountains from where the water goes down to the basin. Then it is not only an issue to work on the forest, but you have to work on the mountains where the water can be cultivated. It is so important. You must cultivate water on the mountains and go down, excuse me, and go, sorry, I have to sign this. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption. And it was really complicated to convince them to take actions on the mountains. And sometimes they don't understand the link between the mountains and the rainforest. I many times says, if we close the water from the mountains, the Amazon region doesn't exist, will not exist like we conceived it. Some other agreements we get from that, to share information and to share technology to measure what's happening on the basin. And also issues about biodiversity sorry. And also about biodiversity, because, for example, the originally people that lives on the basin, they depend a lot on the big fishes, because there are a lot of big fishes on the rivers of the Amazon. But if you don't have the care, they are going to disappear, and then the food security is going to be affected. Then you understand that they have to look for other kind of survivors, and they have to, and they do some things that they are not good for the Amazon basin. I think the example that I put about what's happening on the Amazon basin at that time and what's happening now, we learn that we have to act together. An isolation, a solitary vision is not possible. That's the same with the Agreement of Paris. If United States, for example, separate from the Agreement of Paris, you know that it's not working. It's a window of hope now that the current president of the United States, he said, we are again on the Agreement of Paris. Then it is so important to have a complete vision of the situation, because now more than ever, we feel that we are in a global world. Why? Because anything that you do, if you contaminate, for example, from mercury, because all the Amazon basin is very rich in gold, in precious stones, in oil, in gas, in copper, in other metals, precious metals. If you, for example, do in a bad way the production of gold and you use mercury for this, you are going to contaminate the Atlantic Ocean, because the Amazon goes to the Atlantic, and the Atlantic Ocean goes to Europe, It is in the borders of Europe and United States. Then what you do in the highlands, in the mountains of the Amazonic countries can affect Europe and United States. That's a measure that everything is acting like part of a whole, of a complete set of situations in the globe, in the planet. Then how important is to know that everything that we do in our homes, in our places, is affecting the others, is affecting tremendously the others. If we don't recycle, for example, the masks that we are using now, you can see what the masks are doing on the ocean, what the masks are doing on the birds' population. It is terrible. Then every person has a leadership. Every person has to do things to provide solutions, not solutions only for us. We cannot be selfish when we talk about the environment. We cannot be selfish.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I think
very
there are
much.
other people that questions.
Ricardo, por favor, please. Ricardo, you were saying something? Please.
Oh, yes, I was saying that thank you very much for your words. And it's so important. We cannot be selfish when it comes to our environment. We're all connected and we depend on Mother Earth. So thank you very much for your words. And go ahead, Mr. Ash.
Thank you, Ricardo. I hope we can do some work. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, indeed. I think that's such an important message. And like you said, if we don't understand it now, when will we understand it? I think this is, especially the pandemic should have opened our eyes to this issue. But like you said, even with the Paris Agreement, if the US is not on board with the agreement, how are we going to be able to pursue this as a global community? And you're absolutely right. It gives us a lot to think about and hopefully a lot to do. I think what you've taught us today, Your Excellency, is that all of us have the ability to be leaders and can, in fact, act and must act in order to be able to address this issue. So thank you very much for that. And Ricardo, thank you for asking that incredible question. So I really appreciate it. And with that, I want to say, I think Vanessa will now open up to another dimension of conversation. So thank you, Vanessa, and please, you're welcome.
Good morning. I have a question for you. Going into education and leadership, would you say education is a key aspect of forming future leaders? If so, what policies do you think are necessary to make sure quality education is implemented globally?
Thank you, Vanessa. I am grateful with you because you touch one of the most important things that I always talk about education. It's a key issue, definitely. And when we talk about education, it is a complete set of situations because we can have education at home. The parents, mom and dad, are the main conductors of education because they are socializing the kids, the newborns, teaching them how to talk, how to smile, how to feel the taste of food, everything. But at the same time, they are going through lessons about what's the interrelation with the others, how we can do things. And it's so important when we talk about parental education. After it comes the school, but in parallel to the school are television, friends, internet, and a lot of situations that are happening. In the past, we said that education was in hands of parents and school. That's it. Only parents in school, but not these days. Not these days. We have so many initiatives, so many information that you can get from different sources, but that it's so different. In the past, we thought that the teachers were the wisest. They know everything and we have to ask them. But now, sometimes we know more than the teachers, and you know that because you know more about how to handle and how to do with internet connections, with platforms, with searching, and asking for answers on libraries that you can go into the biggest libraries of the world, and you can go to the bad part also. You can go to deep internet and to get sources of really nasty influences and information. You can do that also. And the important things are that parents and school have to put in the basis a lot of values that you can after manage yourself. You don't need to have some people saying what to do. You know what to do, because it's something that you learn from the beginning of your life. That's so important. And in terms of climate change, of the situations that we are talking now, it's very important. Environmental education is probably a key issue. If we don't have that kind of education, we are not going to get there. We are not going to save the planet. We are not going to save the water, the biodiversity, the nature, the complete planet. Because we have one invaluable, we cannot miss this planet. And of course, people are saying that just now, there is an expedition to Mars. We know because we are receiving the pictures from Mars, but it's not a solution. Maybe they can be how many people in Mars if we are really successful? 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 1,000,000 people? That's it, no more, no more. We cannot put all the people from the Earth on Mars. We cannot do that. Then we have to maintain our planet, a livable planet, with the vegetation, with the water, with the resources that we have. And we have to use them in a sustainable way. That's one thing that we have to learn, and that's information that can provide the teachers or the different source of information. But it's so important that it's in a basis of values. Values is very important because, as I said before when I talk answering the question of Ricardo, we cannot be selfish, because we cannot think, okay, I'm going to have everything, I'm going to solve all my problems, and it doesn't matter with the others. No, it is not good. It is not something that you can be proud of, but also it's not wise. It's a full approach. Why? Because if we are destroying the surroundings, we cannot be healthy when the surroundings is unhealthy. It's impossible. Then education is the key issue in terms of fighting climate change on the field of creating values and ways of action and habits. Habits is other very important things, because habits, you create habits when you are young. After, it's not easy to change habits. For me, it's not easy to change a habit. When people say, okay, you must take care of your brain. You don't want to be in the future with Alzheimer or one kind of nasty sickness, and you have to do things in reverse with the other hand. For example, I am right-handed, but when I try to use my left to brush or to comb or to eat, I have problems because I'm not used to. But probably you, if you put an effort, you can do this because you are young. And when you are a kid, it's much easier even. Then habits has to be cultivated since the young age. And the habit says you have to recycle, you have to reuse, you don't have to abuse, you don't have to do that and that. You have to learn to live with less. That's things you are going to learn. And it's so important to teach the young people and the kids. I hope I answered your question, Vanessa.
Yes, thank you so much, Your Excellence. I really appreciate your words, and definitely we have to take actions and make solutions to protect our planet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And Vanessa, I hope that this is a very important and inspirational message to you and your team, because Vanessa is in El Salvador, is very eager to launch some initiatives to climate action initiatives, I hope founded on values and principles and education. And I hope this will be a very important message to you and the team and
Yes,
many more.
Ash, I want to add something because I
Please.
didn't know that Vanessa is from Salvador.
Yes.
In Central America, there are a lot of people walking to go to the United States. You know that exactly. From Honduras, from Nicaragua, from El Salvador, from other parts of Central America. Maybe not from, of course, not from Costa Rica, not from Panama, but from the other countries. People are trying to leave the countries, and people say it's because of violence, and it is true. It's because of violence, of not having jobs. But you know that part of the problem is climate change, because the land of Central America is poorest and poorest every day. Then you can talk that one side of the problem is climate refugees that are, because they don't have crops, they don't have food, and it's because of climate change. That's a reason. And you have also big hurricanes and more often and stronger, and it gives you a measure that climate change is present in Central America, very hard. And it provides a lot of people with this idea to emigrate, to go out, because it's not possible to live without crops. That's a really very cruel example about what's happening in Central America. Sorry for interrupt.
No, not at all. Thank you so much for that insight. I think that that's a very critical point, in fact, Your Excellency, because the issue of climate refugees is, in fact, the human face to this whole issue of climate change. And so you brought up a very, very important point, and thank you for sharing that. I also thought I'd mention Ricardo is in Venezuela. So as we ask and sort of initiate conversation, please feel free to mention where you're from. Thank you so much. I think Omar would like to share a new perspective. So Omar, please, if you don't mind mentioning where you are, and then proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ash. Yeah, I'm from Venezuela too, like Ricardo. Yeah, Your Excellency. Talking about conservation and education policies, my question is, how can the youth get involved in advocating for both conservation and education policies?
Thank you, Mar. I know that you are in a bad moment in Venezuela, these situations. I recently saw that the government of Venezuela put on the air a bill of 1 million bolivares. 1 million bolivares is 53 cents of dollar, less than a dollar. And it is terrible because people can't survive with it. And we have in Ecuador almost 500,000 of Venezuelans. And we in my organization, we are working hard with the migrants. The name of the program is All of Us Are Migrants. We are migrants, to help Venezuelans to find work and to give the capabilities to be entrepreneurs. That is such a pity situation, but we have to act together. That's so important, Omar. And now about your question. Young people are key issues, not only because we saw the examples of Greta in Sweden or other young people in different parts of the world, but you can move others. You can move others more than old people. I saw now with the coronavirus how, for example, President of New Zealand, Jacinta Ardern, when it starts the problem with the coronavirus, know what she did. She called the young people, she called the bloggers, the influencers, to talk about coronavirus and how to avoid it and how to take care. She didn't call the oldest wise person, he called the young people. And she goes more, she goes to the kids, because she said, if I transmit a message to the kids and they get convinced about what I say, to take care, to wash hands, for example, saying kids, you must wash hands. she was absolutely sure, and she was correct, she was right, that when the kids go to the houses, they told the parents, wash your hands, don't put the garbage on that place, you must separate garbage, things like that. Then you are the influencers, young people are the influencers, and you have the leadership now. Probably my generation and the other generations that came before, and maybe some of the generations that are after my generations, we didn't realize at that time when we were young that it was a risk. We didn't know about it. Remember that some words like climate change doesn't exist in the past. That environment doesn't exist in the past. Some of them were created when it was the big conference of Rio 92. During that conference, Grob Brundtland and probably Ash, Dr. Pachauri and others, they were the thinkers about what's happening here. Something is happening. And since that moment, we stay to be aware. But it was not when we were young. When I learned in high school, we never talk about it. It was not. The teachers of mathematics, for example, teach us about the finite and the infinite group of elements, no? Finite and infinite. And guess what they say? Of course, infinite, the stars, the suns of the sea, and water. They say that it was infinite. And we know that it's not infinite, especially clean water, not infinite, but we learn that. And when you learn in school, you trust it. You trust and say, water is infinite, then we can waste it. Because the teacher says it to us, the teacher of mathematics. And we learn and we know that they were wrong and we were wrong. It's not infinite. Then you now have the possibility to know more than us. I remember, because I'm also a journalist, that, for example, it was some statistics about, for example, the amount of knowledge that people had in the past and people have now. The amount of knowledge that, for example, a wise person, a scientific of the times of the ancient Greek of Rome, is only a small part of what you know that now. What you know now. It is very, very like an equation, a mathematical equation about the amount of knowledge that was available. The difference is that probably that wise person, they know how to apply the knowledge. You know, sometimes we don't know because we have the amount of knowledge that knowledge information, the amount of information that we get confused. What information I'm going to use when the teacher at the high school or university ask us to do a homework? And you say, okay, I go to internet because everything is on internet. If I am responsible, I don't go and copy and paste. If I'm responsible, of course. Well, but we can get confused. I say, okay, I go to this place, I go to Wikipedia. No, better I go to Encyclopedia Britannica. It's most trustable and it's also on internet. I have in my bag the Encyclopedia Britannica in paper, but because I love it. But you must go to that and that and that. So what I can put? This is so much. I have to only to fill like two pages. How we can do that? Then you have to think about it. How to use the information. What information is pertinent? I don't know if the word is good in English. Pertinente, pertinencia. If the knowledge, the information that I get is it fits in the thing that the teacher asked to us, and it's the same in any situation. We must know, learn, research, and after we take decisions. But now we have infinite sources of information.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Arteaga. And yeah, I think that these difficult times give us, to the young leaders, a very good opportunity to be more leader, and not only giving orders, like you said, not being a chief, being a leader, giving good ideas to be better. And thank you very much for your time and this opportunity.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Your Excellency. That is a very interesting point. It is so gripping to listen to you, because you're absolutely right. Today we have access to all this information, but the ability to process that information and, like you said, to determine what is pertinent, what is accurate, is it requires a certain amount of thinking. And I hope that we'll have the ability to process that information, because there is also simultaneously a lot of fake news, and there's a lot of people who are influenced by that. So you're absolutely right. It is key, and I hope that younger generations and the youth that have the ability to lead, or with access to a lot of accurate information, will be able to separate the two. And thank you for sharing that. But I really enjoyed listening to the stories that you shared, especially the infinite amount of water. I mean, that is yes, it's so far from the truth, and I can't believe it. But yes, that's probably what the understanding was, and we're now faced with the reality, of course. So thank you so much for your insights. And with that, I'd like to ask Anna. And Anna, if you want to share your location, please, and I know you have an interesting perspective to discuss with Her Excellency, please.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ash. And you know how yesterday was International Women's Day, so I think this question might be somewhat pertinent. So before we close, I would like to ask about women in leadership in Latin America, because as we know, there are not many female political leaders in some Latin American countries, and I really want to know how you think this can be changed, and how women can take a stance and start being part of the decision makers.
Thank you, Anna. Where are you from?
Oh, right. Sorry about that. I'm from Mexico.
From Mexico, yes. Well, Anna from Mexico, thank you. And I take the opportunity to also to wish all the best for all the women that are here and are listening through different platforms and networks. Yes, yesterday was the International Day of Women, and we talk a lot about how women made a difference in the world. Just now, we know that even if the only less than 10% of the countries are led by women in the world, or have a president or have a prime minister, even with that, we know that the women did it in a better way. I put the example of New Zealand, but I can talk about Germany or Taiwan with President Tsai, that is in the door of very close to China, and she did a good job isolating the country and avoiding that the people died in a big proportion like in other countries, and it happens the same in Iceland and other countries. That's it. That is true. And about the leadership of women, first we have to think that we always talk about Mother Earth. I'm sorry, Ash, but we never talk about Father Earth. We never talk about it. And if we talk about Mother Earth, it could be a best dialogue with Mother Earth from the side of women. The dialogue is more possible and more visible and more enrichment, probably. When you see what's happening in the world, many women are taking the lead. For example, here in the Amazon jungle of Ecuador, we have a woman, Neponte. Neponte was considered one of the most influential persons in the world from Times Magazine. And it was really, I am really proud of what she's doing, fighting for the rights of her group, her tribe, and also fighting for the rights of nature. And this is so important. I can put lots of examples about when women take the decision, they don't go back. That is true. they don't go back. We don't go back. When we take a decision, and we can be very influential also, because not only because we are moms of whole humanity, because any human being was born from a mother. Not only for that, but most of the teachers, approximately 70% of the teachers of basic school and secondary school, we are women. Then we can make the difference. The role of women is really, really very important in fighting climate change. And I think we have to convince women in communities, because when you convince a woman, it's the same when I was talking in a recent event with Mohammed Yunus, the banker of the poor people in Bangladesh, very close to you. And he says that when he decided to create the bank, at the beginning, he was not thinking that it was going to be a bank of women. But finally, it was, because the women pay back very in a very good way. When you give the money to a man, I'm sorry, but they probably don't use the money for other things. But women use for what she want. For example, create a small business, be an entrepreneur, educate the family, feed the family, things like that. And they always reserve some money to pay back to the bank. And it's so important. Then if we saw it in terms of financial issues, we can saw the same in terms of global warming. How we can modify the habits? You have to talk with women. How we can teach others? You have to talk with the teachers, and the teachers are women. If you want to change positions, strong positions, in terms of what to do in certain circumstances, you have to talk with women. Like a year ago, I talked with a person from UK, and that was a diplomat. She says that they have measures that that when women are like in the possibility to be arbiter, to judge some situations, the results are much better than when they are men. And they have the measures. I don't have this moment, but for sure she was talking the truth, because they have statistics about how it works. Then talking about women, we can talk about change, and change that are strong, and they came and stay. That's so important, Anna.
Thank you so much. That was very, very interesting, especially as you talk about the big percentage of teachers who are women, and how this makes them a great influence on the kids, and the kids on their parents. And it just becomes a really big ripple effect of how empowering and educating women on climate change and environmental issues can really impact the community. Thank you so much. Now I'll
Perfect.
pass it over to Ash.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna, for the question, and Your Excellency for your incredible and very powerful insights and remarks. And I do want to say that I hope we celebrate Women's Day every single day of our lives for the reasons that you described, and many, many more. And that's so true. And I'd also like to share, and I feel extremely proud that the majority of the leaders where the pop movement is concerned are women, and I think for all the reasons that you described, there's so much hope because of that. And it's so true. If you think of just the household, it's the woman who will look after the children, look after the family, often look after the community, and in very, very important respects is in fact the sane, stable, and the solid decision maker. And so we celebrate the power of women every single day of our lives. And I have to say that you're an icon for not just us, but I think for the whole world. You really are. And it's examples such as yours that really bring life to to that leadership. And today's conversation has been one more example among so many that we're so blessed to thank you for, and feel so grateful. And we've learned so much. I mean, I really, you said something at the start of the conversation, and I could I could resound that over and over. You said we can continue to talk, and I really feel that way. I feel like we can just absorb and soak up so much as we talk to you. And we love and respect you for your time, for your wisdom, for your experience, and for everything you share with us. It's absolutely invaluable. And you've shared so many things with us today. From the importance of Mother Earth, which is very symbolic. And thank you so much for bringing that up, because it is Tierra Madre, and indeed one that we celebrate as we do every other mother on this planet. But also the fact that we all need to embrace values, and it is up to us to take that action. And you'd said very clearly at the start that for you, leadership really is about getting up and doing things. And it's not about just talking, and it's not about asking people to do things, but to do it by leading by example. And that's really the way for us to move forward. And we can't do it without education, and we can't do it without values. And often, actually, those values come from our mothers. And so the role of women is really critical. You also talked about the importance of understanding the context of climate refugees.
I am sorry.
Sorry.
I have to connect to other event in Azerbaijan.
Okay. Sure.
I'm sorry. I have to make a connection with Azerbaijan because I'm part of a panel.
Okay.
I met your father in Azerbaijan, in Baku.
You did.
Sorry for that, but I have to leave. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
I
you.
really admire your work, Ash, and all the young people that are working hard, destinating their time to be part of these, not only talks, but the actions that you are taking about climate change, global warming, and trying to help all the planet with your action. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, but they are pressing me to connect.
Not at all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It's an honor always. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day and stay safe.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. So we would like to just close out by saying that